Yeah, definitely gonna have to talk about this for October. But, yeah, what the
Yeah, you knew this one was coming, and sorry for not using the original music from before. Unfortunately, copyright's still a thing, and I just don't want to be dealing with that. This is going to be a quick one, but not going to be any less fun. As today, for the Halloween season, we're going to talk about Plush by Doug Wagner. Published in late 2022 by Image Comics, Plush, as you can see, is a story that, well, short version, is about killer furries. Doug Wagner has been a writer in comics for a long time, mostly doing action-oriented comics or tie-ins to existing properties like the film adaptation to 2010's Red and World of Warcraft, though these days he's become more experimental and writing more out there projects, like the comic Vinyl, that deals with a serial killer facing off against an evil cult of flower farmers, or Plastic, where a man goes full-on John Wick to get back his sex doll. So, as you can see, killer furries ain't too out there for him. How to do? Well, let's find out. Warning, spoilers. Our story begins with our main character, Devin Fletcher, confiding to his roommate, Levi, how he found out his girlfriend cheated on him and is even having the other guy's baby, but still wants to be with him. Levi admits that he never liked her, and leaving her was definitely the right call. Unfortunately, Devin's family doesn't agree and are trying to talk him into staying with her. Levi wanted to help his friend clear his head, decides to take him to a furry convention. Devin isn't up for it since, well, he's not really a furry, but Levi doesn't take no for an answer, and Devin reluctantly goes with him. He puts on a fursuit Levi gave him. His friend gives him a drink to help loosen him up, as he still is a bit tense. And, of course, a bit uncomfortable since, well, again, he's going into a community that he isn't really familiar with. Then, Levi just takes off. No, really. Despite acting like a caring friend in the opening, he just up and leaves him, and isn't seen again until the end. Before he left, though, Levi puts something in Devin's drink that makes him sick, and he has to step out to puke, only to be greeted by a even more stomach-turning event. He discovers 3 furries, a goat, a cat, and, yeah, I have no idea what animal this character is supposed to be. A fish? Frog, gecko, whatever. Devin runs off and is seeking help, eventually bumping into a police officer. Unfortunately, this particular officer is the guy that his girlfriend cheated on him with. He snaps and tries to fight him, but Marith knocks him out and takes him to the station. When he wakes, Devin is met by his ex's father, Sheriff Brotman, who doesn't take Devin's story about cannibal furry seriously and brushes off as him just being on drugs. Instead, he focuses more on getting Devin to take his daughter back, as he believes whatever his daughter wants, she gets. And because Devin's parents are loaded. As you can see, him, along with the whole department, are corrupted. The sheriff is even willing to frame Devin with a cold case if he doesn't comply. In the end, it doesn't matter, as the cannibals find Devin and tear the station apart, quite literally, killing officers left and right to get to him until they finally reach Devin. Not to eat, however. It's because the goat, who goes by the persona Scratch, believes Devin fell in love with his sister, the cat named Edie, the moment he saw her, and wants to bring him into the family. Devin isn't interested at first in going with them, but seeing the situation he's in with the sheriff and this whole crazy shit with the department, he might have a better chance with the cannibals. How's that fair? Can he trust Scratch and his siblings? And how crazy will this story go? Well, definitely read it to find out. This story is bonkers, but in a fun way, as believe it or not, the cannibal furries aren't the weirdest things you'll be seeing in this comic. In fact, they end up looking pretty chill by comparison. It weirdly reminded me a lot of the Clive Barker novel Cabal in some regards. It involves a man meeting a world of flesh-eating monsters only to learn there is more to them. Now, I'm not a part of the furry community, so I'm not sure how accurate this portrays them. It seems to treat the community with some respect and actually dives into more of the spiritual aspects that some of my friends who are in the furry community do agree with, like why exactly they go with the personas that they go for. If I have any complaints, it's mostly on how some of the characters just kind of pull a 180 for almost no reason, like Levi and even some of the antagonists. I also kind of feel like we could have learned more about Devin's life a little bit, like before all of this, to get kind of an idea of why he would make the choices he makes in the story. Speaking of Devin, let's move on to characters. He's a decent main character and is meant to be our POV when learning about this world of cannibalistic furries and mansions with even more insane backstories. He seems to be someone who, though heartbroken, is still a hopeless romantic, as he talks about how he thought his ex, who by the way we never see in this comic, was the So 1, it's implied that he could be seen as an outcast within his family, given how he was talking about them, but as I said, we don't really get too much detail. Again, if we actually got to see more of them, it could have made some of the choices he made even more powerful. However, he's still a likable character, and you're wondering where his story will go. As for our trio of cannibal furries, Scratch, Edie, and Keebler, they're an interesting trio as, since though I mentioned Cabal earlier to describe how Devin's story goes, they definitely give more of an Addams Family vibe, meets the Sawyer family from Texas Chainsaw. Scratch is very outgoing and really does seem to like Devin, and wants both him and his sister to get together, while also having a bromance with him, which is pretty hilarious. Edie seems to like Devin, but is reluctant to trust him. She's the most dedicated out of the three, as she explains their philosophy regarding why they do what they do. And as for the third member, Keebler, much like their fursuit, we don't exactly know their whole deal, except that they're gender fluid and that they're very playful in the suit and all business out of it. The rest of the cast, with the exception of Levi, are mostly just antagonists out there to get everyone, and that's about it. We don't really get that much depth. What you see is what you get, and it's pretty ugly, which makes their deaths a bit more satisfying. The art is pretty good and done by Daniel Hilliard, who's worked with Wagner in the past and still pretty solid here. His style is not unlike Ryan Otley, who a lot will know, one of the artists for fellow Image Comics Invincible, and especially in the gore. It doesn't feel like a copy though, and he does a good job blending the cartoony style and over-the-top reactions with the insane hatchet-level gore. On the whole, Plush is a fun, weird, and brutal story, but it's a bit uneven when it comes to some of the characters, and we could have gotten more on Devin's story. And also, again, I'm not part of the furry community, so if you are, you might take it a little differently, but if so, what do you think about it? And let me know in the comments. I'm actually pretty curious. But yeah, I say check it out. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates, and next time, get ready for Halloween as we conclude this theme month, though not with a story I was planning to cover, or you were expecting. Later.